Now that we've completed our analysis, we can start looking to productionize our script. To run a script in production, we obviously want to remove any superfluous statements that are not required. To start with, I will make a copy of the sales production analysis script and call this sales project production. Moving to the top with our first statement, we have create database sales. Just like create table, we can also use the if not exists with a create database statement, which will first perform a check to see if the database exists, and if it does exist, it will move on to the next statement without halting our script with an error. I can go ahead and run this statement and see that the yellow exclamation has come back to inform us that it attempted to run the create database, but as the database already exists, it will now move on to the next statement. However, it is unlikely we will be pushing a script to production without there first being a database for our script to run against. Next, we have a use sales database statement. With production scripts, if we are asking a script to use a database, we don't need to keep using the reference to the database throughout the script, so we can look to delete any instances of sales database from our script. Also, if we want to rename our database at a later stage or copy the script into another database, such as marketing, we only need to update the use statement and no further changes will be required to our script. As we are currently connected to the sales database, executing a use sales database will restart our connection in the back end. I can go to the edit menu and select find, and then select find and replace. Also to note, you can bring up the Find and Replace toolbox by using the shortcut Ctrl-H or Ctrl-F if you just want to find a word in your script. When editing scripts, knowing your keyboard shortcuts will save you a lot of time if you are editing a large script with many instances to update. Now that I've done a Find and Replace in our script for all instances of where we had the sales database denoted, I can continue down through our script with further edits. For our create table, I will add in an if not exists and execute this statement. I can see the yellow exclamation denoting that the statement has run, but as the table already exists, it will move on to the next statement. As we intend to place this script into production, I will look to expand on our analysis from customers in California and increase this to all customer addresses. I will update our table name and call this customer address and perform another find and replace in our code to update all instances from customer California to customer address. I will now combine the insert and delete statements together, as typically they are found one after another. Combining the two statements like this also safeguards that our insert statement will not run unless the delete statement runs first. If for some reason myself or a colleague needs to update and debug this script at a later stage, I will just comment out the statement district equals to California. And for debugging, I can just uncomment, which will make debugging much faster. Similarly, if my colleague was working on this script, it will mean they can see a test piece of data and not have to run a select statement and try to find an appropriate test value for district, which will reduce the time it takes for them to test the script. For example, if 10 scripts have failed in the batch run over the weekend, we want to get the batch running as quickly as possible. So by keeping such references in production scripts, we'll go a long way to getting our batch back up and running. I can see the customer address table has been created along with all appropriate indexes. I can therefore go ahead and remove all the alter statements, as these were initially used in conjunction with our create table as statement. And as we have explicitly defined our table structure, we no longer need to alter the table to add in new indexes. I will comment out the show statements, as again, if I am debugging our query at a later stage, this will help me or my colleague to quickly review the tables. In particular, if I'm working in MySQL command line and don't have access to a visual interface such as MySQL Workbench. Next, for customer payment detail, I will open the information and review the DDL for the table, which I can then use to replace our create table as statement with. I will perform some edits on this statement, but you could simply use the statement in its current form. I will remove the unassigned keyword, as well as any defaults such as default equal to 0. I will also set the commas to be on the left, as this makes counting rows a little easier, if no row numbers are present. Also, where we have long SQL statements, trying to identify the start and end of a statement, this makes it easier if all the commas are on the left. I will add in an if not exists to the create table statement. As before, I will follow our create table statement with a delete from table and insert into table statement. I will also add in the column names to safeguard the positioning of fields. (16,044 rows, so much more data now that we've expanded out from just district equal to California to all districts for customers. Moving on to customer payment total, I will open the information and select the table's DDL once again, which I will use to replace the create table statement as. I will perform a cleanup of the statement. And as noted before, you could just leave the statement in its current state. I'll perform a quick drop by just highlighting the command and execute to run. The create table and insert ran successfully. I can remove the alter statements. I can perform a select from the customer payment total table to ensure the table is populated. In addition, I will perform a row count. 2,838 rows have come back, a much greater quantity compared to just running for our district of California. Finally, I can perform a full test run of our script by running an execute for all statements. However, I will first clear the output window and also close the results and rerun the entire script. The script takes less than a second to run, and we can see 12 steps have been executed. As the script has now run without any errors, I can look to send my script to the database administration team to have them test the script in live production. In addition, I would also provide the database administration team with scheduled details for our script, such as how often the script needs to be run. As our data is broken down by year and month, the script really only needs to be run at the beginning of each month to take into account for last month's data. But we may also want to run the script on a weekly basis and provide year-to-date and month-to-date totals to our business. That concludes this section on cleaning up our SQL scripts to run in production.